Some dare call it conspiracy.
And welcome back to Some Dare Call It Conspiracy. This is part 2 of the catch-up. If you haven't listened to part 1, Neil has been catching me up on the, shall we say, lunacy of the conspiracy world in the past 6 weeks, and he's caught me up on the first 3 weeks, and now he's going to catch me up on the next 3 weeks of this year.
Yeah, the beginning of this year, basically. So it's over the Christmas. So where we left off, Elon Musk, having upset most of the MAGA crowd by first basically promoting H-1B visas and then explaining the need for this, which is essentially skilled workers coming into America, which goes totally against the anti-immigration policies that MAGA go for. But he explained this by saying that, well, we've kind of got to because you're useless in the USA. You're absolutely rubbish.
And mediocrity, wasn't it?
Yeah, mediocre. And this was doubled down by Vivek Ramaswamy, who also basically said that the American culture bred mediocrity. So anyway, he's not been having a great time. They got into a back and forth with a lot of the sort of right-wing commentators and such. And then totally not as a distraction, all of a sudden, Elon Musk became very, very interested in the grooming gang scandal that happened several years ago in the UK. Now, just so that, in the interest of fairness, so that people don't think that we're skirting over this, what happened was there was a series of gangs in deprived areas where Asian men were essentially preying on vulnerable young girls. A lot of these girls turned out to be white, and essentially they were groomed into all sorts of horrible instances where they were forced to do sex acts against their will, and sometimes they were pimped out, sometimes they were shared out, and all of the relationships were totally inappropriate, and it was a horrible thing, and it wasn't as well policed as it could have been due to a whole series of factors that's actually quite sort of complicated. But what happened was eventually what was happening was raised by a Labour MP, and later there was various court cases, laws that were changed and the like, and most of the perpetrators were punished. But we're not denying that it was a horrible thing. What has tended to happen, though, is since then certain far-right figures have used this tragedy as a way to sort of try and paint all Muslims in the same light. Because in these particular cases, in Rochdale, Rotherham, Oldham, Telford, and a couple of other towns, the gangs happen to be predominantly Asian men preying on white girls. And no one's denying that happened. It was horrible. But what happened was there's this report that came out by Quilliam. Quilliam was a think tank that Majid, the chap from who used to be on LBC, Majid Nawaz is his name, and Tommy Robinson used to be in. And they produced a report that suggested that of all sexual abuse cases in the UK, 84% of it was carried out by Asian males. And it transpired that this report was completely wrong. But this helped paint a picture that there was a disproportionate amount of this type of crime within Asian communities. And people would take it further and say that Asian communities encourage this, or even that Islam itself encouraged this. And this is all not true. The majority of these types of cases in the UK are actually with groups of white people perpetrating these crimes. It's always horrific. Nobody's trying to sweep that under the rug. But what people are saying is that a lot of people with bad faith arguments are trying to use this to smear several things. 1, Islam in general. 2, Asian males. 3, Asian culture. 4, immigration in general, even though sort of a lot of the people that were involved were actually born in this country. They just happen to be of a Pakistani or Muslim background. So Elon Musk has decided to wade into this and decided to basically just use it as a weapon. He's getting attention directed away from his recent faux pas with the sort of far right and more conservative end of the MAGA crowd. and it's really, really transparent. But the first thing that we had to look, the first thing of sort of significance that happened in January 2025 was that somebody weighed into the argument that probably wasn't expected. I certainly didn't expect them to say this. Who do you think it was that weighed in and had a go at Elon Musk? American politician.
Someone had a go at him, for the Rochdale thing, for talking about grooming gangs, or
No, for his take on H-1B visas.
okay. Yeah, no guess.
Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders tweeted, Elon Musk is wrong. The main function of the H-1B visa program is not to hire the best and the brightest, but rather to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage, indentured servants from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make. Which is an interesting take. So basically, Elon Musk, for his promotion of this particular thing, is being attacked from both sides of the argument. From people like Nick Fuentes and Laura Loomer, who say that basically we just don't want foreigners in. And from the left-wing perspective, where they're saying that basically, this is just a way for you to exploit people. I mean, obviously, he does say replace good-paying American jobs and blah, blah, blah. But the basic takeaway from that is the cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make. And so it's just interesting that they are being criticized from both sides of the political spectrum, basically. Also on the second, Kemi Badenoch, who is the leader of the opposition party at the minute. She decides to and this sort of gets to the crux of why the grooming scandal sort of came to a head again. Let me just explain some background. What had happened was recently, Jess Phillips, who is a Labour MP, had spoken with Oldham City Council, and they said that they would like a further inquiry, potentially with the backing of the national government. And Jess Phillips said, no, I don't want to do a national inquiry. However, if you want to do a local inquiry, fill your booze, go absolutely nuts. And a lot of people were like, well, hang on, why don't you want to do a national inquiry? Which is a fair question. Like, have those problems been solved? We don't know. Clearly, the people in Oldham feel that there's something more to be done about this.
Sure.
So what was the deal? Well, it was pointed out that there was a 7-year-long inquiry costing £200 million that was completed in 2022. There are 20 recommendations that came off the back of this report. Okay, and the Tories have acted on none of them. They were in power at the time. They're in power for a further 2 years. They didn't bother to do anything about it. They just basically let it go and went, right, fine, brilliant, great. We've done the report. That's it. They did absolutely nothing to help. Andy Burnham, who is a Labour MP and the Mayor of Manchester, he had initiated a broader report that looked at what happened in Oldham and Manchester and certain areas around there, which is also available. Now, I would reiterate that nobody is saying that that's it, that we're done with looking at these things. And no one is saying that local councils can't do their own reports, or that even independent reports couldn't be done. What people are saying is that it took 7 years to conduct the one that we've already done. In order to interview witnesses and in order to get everything together, it takes its sweet time, right? And so what they're suggesting, or what the Labour government has said, is wouldn't we be better trying to fix the problems that we've already identified before we even start to do something as long-term as that? Because they want to solve some of the problems, and they want the victims to be heard. This is an opinion that is shared by at least some of the victims of the case, and I believe the lawyers that were involved in a lot of the cases, that they would prefer action to be taken rather than just start another inquiry. But this is the thing. It's an optics thing. Basically, it sounds bad, doesn't it? Like, they don't want to do another inquiry. They don't want to inquire into this specific town. They don't want to into this. It sounds like they're trying to sweep it under the rug, when actually
Right.
the opposite is the case, that they're actually trying to do something. Will it be effective? Will it be any good? Only time can tell, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, but what people are doing, like Kevin Bain and Doc, and like Elon Musk, is using this as a political football. They're just using it to throw it around and to spread distrust and to spread certain very abhorrent ideas. And basically, this will continue.
And to smear their political enemies.
Well, precisely. I mean, I think from Musk, it's partly to do with his sort of recent fascination with sort of far right political organisations, and partly just as a distraction from his own sort of thing. And let's not forget as well. Do you know what I mean? This is a man who's obsessed with popularity, and this gets him popular with a certain amount of people. So Elon Musk starts tweeting some pretty incendiary and completely irresponsible things. On the 2nd of January, Elon Musk tweeted, "In the UK, serious crimes such as rape require the Crown Prosecution Service's approval for the police to charge suspects. Who was the head of the CPS when rape gangs were allowed to exploit young girls without facing justice? Keir Starmer. 2008 to 2013. Like, and this is, I mean, it's ridiculous. But that's not the worst thing. Also on the 2nd, Musk tweeted, "Who is the boss of Jess Phillips right now? Keir Starmer. The real reason she's refusing to investigate the rape gangs is that it would obviously lead to the blaming of Keir Starmer, head of the CPS at the time." Now, just to explain, right, okay, all of these things were prosecuted. The report that came out in 2022 praised Keir Starmer for not only taking action, but also changing the law to ensure that more people were prosecuted and were caught up in the dragnet of the investigations by the police. How the CPS works is, what the CPS is the Crown Prosecution Service. The police will arrest somebody they think has done a crime. They will collect evidence and they will present a case to the CPS. The CPS is a supposedly impartial body that basically says,
Is that like, it's like similar to district attorney in America, isn't it? Like you arrest somebody and then you take it to them. They have to decide whether or not they're going to take it to court and prosecute.
Yeah, kind of. Basically, they're different entities. Like the police and the CPS are not the same thing. The police present a case to the CPS and say whether they say, "We think this is enough for a prosecution," and the CPS will look at it and go, either, "Yeah, that looks like a fair case," or "No, we won't." And if they say no, the case gets put away. Right? Okay. That is not what happened in regards to this, basically. Like, there just was no knowledge of it. It was a lack of police investigation that prevented these cases being taken to court. They when they were taken to court, people were prosecuted. Also, is this sort of childish, naive attitude that, like, Keir Starmer was the head of the CPS. So that doesn't really mean that he would see everything that comes in. He's running the organization. In fact, in many ways, being the head of the CPS would probably mean that he saw less details of cases.
It's like his quality control or something. He checks off every single case that goes through or something. Like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, precisely. This is the thing. So it does seem like an unfair criticism of him. There's been numerous things with Keir Starmer at the CPS, and I'm not a massive fan of Keir Starmer. But this just simply isn't true. He also said, and this is where basically any doubt that Elon Musk was a moron was just removed. He
I don't
tweeted
think there
out,
is any doubt left.
No, he tweeted out, "The king must step in. We can't have Keir heading the country." The king must step in. We can't have Keir heading the country while he was the one heading the Crown Prosecution Service while all this was happening. I know he's not American, but fucking Americans really think that England is like Game of Thrones, don't they?
What does he mean, we?
Well, that's a very good point. We can't have Keir Starmer.
We can't. Huh? Hello?
Oh dear. It's so ridiculous.
Does he think he's like a global citizen? Is he a globalist?
Well, that's interesting. It's very interesting that you say that, because you know who came out in full-throated support of this idea that the king should step in, dissolve parliament, remove the democratically elected representative of the country, at the behest of a man from a third country tweeting on behalf of a second country.
Yeah.
Well, it was Alex Jones, wasn't it?
I was going to say that. I was just going to say, after the previous episode, I'm going to go with Alex Jones.
Alex Jones thought that this was a good idea. Like, you know, Alex Jones is all about sovereignty and democracy and the ideas of, like, you know, states allowing, even in America, he's got this concept of like states allowing no interference from the government, certainly no interference from an outside government, certainly no interference from a foreigner who is somewhat quasi-autonomously attached to this government from another country, interfering in the democratic process of a country. And also, isn't Alex Jones supposed to be opposed to the concept of kings?
Well, yeah. So the king is good. The king should step in and use his powers that he hasn't actually got.
Yeah.
And Operation Paperclip is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is it. Also,
please tell me there's more Alex Jones in this.
Yes, I would have thought so.
Oh, brilliant.
Also, Musk retweets a Liz Truss tweet. Liz Truss tweet. Liz Truss was the Prime Minister for an incredibly short amount of time and a national embarrassment. She crashed the economy. And recently she actually sent a letter. You won't have seen this either. A cease and desist letter to Keir Starmer, saying that she would sue him if he kept repeating the fact that she crashed the economy. So Keir Starmer read this letter out in the Houses of Parliament during PMQs, or paraphrased it, and basically just mugged her off, which was lovely. But Liz Truss is trying to sort of she's like a shit Nigel Farage at the minute. She's trying to ingratiate herself with Turning Point, and she turned up in America with a massively oversized MAGA hat, looking like sort of like the most confused tourist ever. And she's trying to be sort of like horrible on Twitter and trying to stoke outrage, but she's just shite at it because she's shite at everything because she's Liz Truss. Like, you know. Anyway, she tweeted that Jess Phillips had let the victims of, I think it was Rochdale, down, and that she should be in jail. Now, I would say that basically the majority of the victims would not agree with this. Liz Truss also tweeted, former Prime Minister Liz Truss tweeted this live. This is Jess Phillips, the same Home Office Minister who excused masked Islamist thugs. Her title, Parliamentary Undersecretary of State for Safeguarding and Violence Against Women and Girls, is a perversion of the English language. It's clear whose side she is on. And that's basically where Labour has rejected Oldham's call for a government inquiry into grooming gangs. And I've explained why. That basically says, well, we're following up on we're implementing the results of the first report. We're open to another report. However, Andy Burnham did do a report that looked at the Oldham case, and you're perfectly okay to do a local report. It just won't get the same amount of resources. Not to say that they couldn't do this in the future. Anyway, Elon Musk quote tweets this with, "She deserves to be in prison." The man is a child. He's an absolute child. So how could he get worse on that day? At some point along this time, and I'm not sure when it is. Like he accuses Jess Phillips of being a rape genocide apologist, which is not really a thing, but it's also at the same time a horrific thing to call people, and also completely not true. Like,
wow,
yeah. I mean, that is close to being actionable, I think, as well. To be honest, you know, not in America, but certainly in the UK. Like, you know, like you can't accuse people of doing things like that. You could tarnish their reputation. Actually, in America, you could. if you were to prove, this is how it works in America. In America, you can say what you like about that person, but the second that it costs them money, if it damages their reputation and they can prove that the damage to their reputation costs them money, then they can sue you. And this is a trick that conspiracy theories go, I've been saying, Isaac Cappy, for example, I called Tom Hanks a paedophile and he's not sued me. No, because like no one listens to you. So it's not affected his bottom line. So he's not allowed to sue you. David Icke and what's the name? Not Bryce Taylor, the other, Kathy O'Brien. They do a similar trick that blah, blah, blah. No one will ever sue me because etc. And this was somewhat sort of undermined by David Icke getting sued for $50,000 by a man that he defamed in one of his books in Canada, whose name I escape. But yeah, it does happen. So anyway, but on the second, Elon decides to pin a tweet on the top of his Twitter feed, and it simply says, "Free Tommy Robinson." Yeah. And not like, here's a free Tommy Robinson, like, please take him and dispose of him as you will, like, as in free him from jail, because he's currently in prison for defaming. Well, it was a civil case. He defamed a child. There was a child that's been beaten up on film, and he spread lies saying that this child had been violent to girls and that he was getting his comeuppance. None of this was true, and this was refuted by several people, including the mother of one of the girls that Tommy Robinson claimed that the boy had beaten up. So it was Tommy Robinson clearly lied. He was found liable of this and ordered to pay, I think, £100,000 and stop repeating the lies. He didn't stop repeating the lies. So what happens with civil cases is if you're found in contempt of court by essentially thumbing your nose at their instructions, then you go to prison. It's not uncommon. It happens quite a lot. And that's why Tommy Robinson is in prison. But what people are trying to say is that he's a brave journalist and he exposed these grooming gangs and he exposed corruption within the UK government. And that's why he's in prison. And that can't be true because he never did any of those things. He's not a journalist. He didn't expose any grooming gangs. He nearly upended at least 2 court cases by turning up and tried to turn them into publicity spectacles for himself, and nearly wrecked the actual court cases, which would have allowed guilty perpetrators to go free. There's also the story that basically when they went over to Telford, Danny Tomo, his mate, decided that the best thing to do was to try and get all the girls who had been traumatized and raped by these gangs back to his hotel room to do cocaine and have sex with him. They didn't, but he certainly tried to get them there. And that's according to the dad of one of the girls. So, you know, this idea that, I mean, go and listen to our Tommy Robinson episode, like that explains a bit more about his character and whatnot. He's like, it's just a grift. It's in the same way that Bane, Doc, and Elon are using this horrible tragedy to score points and to just like for an agenda. Like Tommy Robinson's like a pro at that, and he's a shit. Anyway, Elon Musk has a complete change of mind. Like, he's obviously gone to bed. Maybe he's had some good ketamine. Who knows? Like, but on January the 3rd, he decides to wake up and go and tweet. So this was January the 4th, but this was 1:35 a.m. January the 4th. Who knows what? Who knows why he's up pottering around at 1:35 in the morning, potentially ketamine out of his mind. Like, and Elon Musk decides to tweet. And this is after, like, you know, a week of him taking incredible shit for basically being an incredible shit. He tweets, "Algorithm tweak coming soon to promote more informational, entertaining content. We will publish the changes to X. Our goal is to maximize unregretted user seconds. Too much negativity is being pushed, and it technically grows user time, but not unregretted user time." Now, obviously, because Twitter is supposed to be a free speech platform, and that sounds a bit like he's going to promote speech that he sees as positive and like downgrade speech that he sees as negative, Twitter goes absolutely batshit mental. even Alex Jones kind of actually sort of turns a little bit, even while he's trying to like still be a complete sycophant. He does raise the question, who defines negativity? But then he also basically just does a complete 180 and goes against his principles by defending Musk and crying, basically. He did a cry on InfoWars saying that, oh God, everyone thinks I'm right up Elon Musk's arse, and then proceeds to basically like kiss Elon Musk's arse for about 10 minutes solid. Like, so this is a huge conflict of interest, right? Because the freedom of speech thing, but also Elon is a representative of both the American government somehow and also several businesses, which shouldn't really be happening because technically that's fascism, but let's not get bogged down in that at the minute. Like, so he's got this huge conflict of interest for him to be deciding what is negative and what is positive. Like, let's say if someone was to say that, do you know that an inordinate amount of Tesla cars have actually like locked solid and have people burned to death inside them? Like,
Yeah.
Like a stupid amount. And that the Cybertruck is banned in the UK because it just doesn't even come close to being safe, not for the driver or for pedestrians. It has no crumple zone. It will shake you to death in a high-speed crash. Also, they're shit. Properly shit. Like, the quality shit, the ride quality shit. They fall to pieces if you hit them with a fucking screwdriver. Like, they can't move anything. They're just awful, terrible, like Emperor's Got New Clothes vanity projects, basically. But anyway, this is why he shouldn't have this. This is essentially anti-free market, right? That is another thing that Alex Jones is basically misunderstood, because he thinks the concept is, and I'm going to massacre this, that basically there should be no regulations, that the market will decide. And if something is good, then people will buy it. If something is bad, then people won't buy it. And that's really sort of the thing. And that is bollocks. It's just a bollocks, because we can see that actually, no, that's not the thing. The most sold things on the products are things that are terrible for you. Like, and also, no, people won't do that. People will, like, what happens when there's no regulations on building? Do people go, well, I best build the best, safest buildings ever, right? Otherwise, people won't come and buy houses from me again. Or do they go, fuck it, and then houses collapse and people die? That's what happens, right? And it also opens up all sorts of stupid questions like, you believe in the free market? Can I sell your daughter heroin? I know she's 5, but let's let the market decide. Like, you know, so anyway, the point being that Alex Jones should be totally, totally against this. But for some strange reason, he absolutely isn't. Then we have a bit of a twist. On the 3rd of January, Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, and Lee Anderson, who are all of Reform UK, which is the current like upcoming far right party that is supposed to be speaking for the people, but is actually really obviously a bit of a con because it doesn't even allow membership. It's a PLC, so you can pay £25 to become a member, but you get no say on the running of the party or any sort of interaction. That money just goes towards the party, which is essentially Nigel Farage and Richard Tice and Rupert Lowe and Lee Anderson and somebody else that is just so inconsequential that I couldn't be bothered to remember their name. Like, but yeah. Anyway, so those three come out, and what do you think? They can see the way that the wind's blowing. What do you think they do?
I really don't have a clue.
I'll just tell you, because, like, they publicly denounced Tommy Robinson.
Okay. That's fun.
And to be fair, they have done that before. But basically, this goes down like a fucking, like, absolute nightmare. Because all of Reform followers turn around and start saying, but we like Tommy Robinson. We like what he's got to say. Ben Habib, who's recently been kicked out of Reform, took the opportunity to say that he fully supports Tommy Robinson. And this was a bit of an unfortunate timing, because on the evening of the 3rd, in the East Midlands, there was the East Midlands Reform Conference, and Lee Anderson was the major speaker. And his speech got interrupted by hecklers. He was heckled almost off the stage by people because of his lack of support for Tommy Robinson.
Oh.
Isn't it?
So they're upsetting their base now.
Yes.
Nice.
To the point where on that very same day, Elon Musk's crazy father, appears on Reform UK propaganda outlet, GB News, and says, Nigel Farage is not strong enough to be the leader of the party.
What, Elon's dad?
Yes. Elon's dad comes out and says that Nigel Farage is not strong enough to be the leader of the party. So, Elon hasn't spoken up on this yet, but basically, it's the cracks are appearing, shall we say. Anyway, the following day, Alex Jones, who's sort of spoiling because he thinks that people are having a go at him for supporting Elon Musk.
Which he is.
Yeah, it says very strange. He says that the people on the right who hate immigrants, they're only angry with Elon Musk, not because of what Musk has done, but because that the left is sowing division. Yeah. And people like Ian Miles Chong, they suck up to Elon as well by promoting Alex's defense to the people that are disappointed with his stance. They're trying to say, hey, he's gaslighting his fans. He's trying to gaslight the racists by basically saying, hey, he's not doing anything that is going against you. That's the leftist trying to get in your head, man. And it's like, no, he has explicitly done something that we hate. And Alex has got absolutely no defense against this from his perspective to his audience and his fans. So he basically just says, no, that thing that you see happening, it's not happening. And he tweets out, he goes, Musk has done so many maverick things that I would just say, oh no, so he says this on InfoWars, he doesn't tweet this as, Musk has done so many maverick things that I would say, you've done so much good in your big turn the last 3.5 years that I will put my concerns out there, just like I just did. And I'm going to do more in a moment. But at the same time, would you please start telling us how it works? Would you please, unlike the other big tech companies, will you tell us that the algorithm, well, you say, well, people can beat the algorithm. Then, well, what? By being positive? I mean, I want to know, because that's something you'd ask God. Like, God, what is positive? What is negative? Yeah, it's a new Twitter policy. The new Twitter policy is freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. So he's giving you an idea that negative hate tweets will be max deboosted and demonetized. So no ads or other revenue on Twitter. You won't find the tweet unless you specifically seek it out, which, to be fair, is no different from the internet. Now, this is interesting because this is Alex trying to explain that actually it's all right that Elon Musk is shadow banning people and deboosting things and dictating what can be said. Even though in the past, when he was supposedly shadow banned, this was actually a coordinated attack by the elites. This is how Patriot Voices, Alex has done entire shows about how this is how Patriot Voices are silenced by somebody determining what is positive and what is negative.
I gotta say, though, Alex has nothing to worry about because Elon considers cis hate speech. All right. So it's going to be stuff like that. It's going to be things that are against him.
Is anything that's critical of Elon Musk?
Yeah. It's going to be anything that's liberal, anything that's sort of from the left or progressive. That's going to be seen as hate speech. That's going to be seen as not as negative content, and the stuff where we're going to break free from the New World Order, that's going to be seen as the positive stuff.
Well, in order to sort of clear the air, Alex decides that the best thing that he can do is have Owen Schroyer on his show, because Owen had actually had his blue check taken away. And the thing is that he brings Owen on to basically kind of he's trying to run interference for Elon, isn't he? Because he's a sycophant, essentially. But Owen's not really having it. Like, Owen says that, no, this isn't right at all. What Elon is doing is curating the platform. And he uses that, basically that phrase, because that's what Alex Jones said that Tim Cook was doing. He said it was the same thing. And then Owen goes on. He previously said that he was being shadow banned because Tim Cook was curating what could be seen on Twitter, and that was the work of the globalists, the New World Order, the Illuminati. But apparently, when Elon Musk is doing it, Alex doesn't see a problem, but Owen sees the contradiction, and he says, and I think that the reason people are concerned is, were they using the H-1B visa debate as a kind of test system to say, okay, can we snuff out people on a certain side of this debate or a certain side of this story? Can we use certain keywords that flag accounts that we can basically do what is, it's virtually censorship? And he's right. He's absolutely right. He's a bit hysterical, and they're talking about censorship for the wrong things, racism and stuff like that, apparently. But technically, he's right. And from a conspiracy angle, he's definitely right. That, like, Elon Musk is going against everything that he said. But Alex says that basically, like, oh, I don't think that's really what Elon's doing. He's not really doing that. So Owen asks Grok.
What, live on stream?
Well, no, he's written it down. He brought it with him. He says, but here, Alex, let me give you an example specifically about the new policy when it comes to negativity. And this is according to X's own AI system. It says things like being critical of the FBI, being critical of FBI statements, challenging official statements from authorities, skepticism about official narratives. And this is from X's own AI saying this. They've also said being affiliated or talking to other accounts like Alex Jones could also deboost you. So these are the kinds of things that have people extremely skeptical of what the future of X looks like. Clearly, this idea that it's going to be a free speech app was where anyone could go and report. Those dreams are dead to most people that are following this story. But Alex, it's funny. Nige tried to do a brilliant episode on this. Alex just basically goes, there's like a pause, and he goes, the robot said that? because for some reason he thinks that Grok is like fucking like Hal or something, like, oh God. Now, remember that Errol Musk had been on I think it was Talk Radio, and said that he didn't think that Nigel Farage was a strong enough person to be the leader of the Reform Party.
Yes.
Well, on January the 5th, Elon Musk abandons Nigel Farage. He tweets out that the Reform Party needs a new leader. Farage doesn't have what it takes.
Oh.
And Elon starts actively supporting Rupert Lowe to be the new leader of Reform. And this is very embarrassing because Farage has been sort of courting his close relationship with the Trump administration. And there's been recent talk about Elon Musk giving a huge amount of money to the party, which Elon has denied, but then he's said all sorts of things and then gone back on his word, hasn't he? As this very podcast shows. So who knows where he's at with that. But yeah, certainly there to show, to spark infighting between the members of Reform. Nigel Farage, some might say he was an arrogant man. Like, who knows? Who knows if that sort of thing? But yeah, but this is really strange because essentially, like, Elon Musk is supporting like the AfD and Alice Waddell in Germany because he thinks that their anti-immigration, pro-German culture stance is correct. In America, he thinks that American culture promotes mediocrity and thinks that you should import immigrants, but only of the highest caliber. And then he doesn't like Nigel Farage because Nigel Farage doesn't like Tommy Robinson. It's all, and Tommy Robinson spends his time essentially spreading propaganda and lies to try and demonize Islam. It's all over the place, isn't it?
But he supports reform, and reform is Nigel Farage.
Essentially, yeah. And Tice, but nobody really cares about Tice. The figure is Nigel Farage, except a lot of people started turning on Farage. When Elon Musk dropped him, a lot of people were going, you know what, he's right. And it was all grounded in this thing about Tommy Robinson.
Question.
Yeah.
What, English people or just people on X?
Absolutely. People, in fact, there was a debate started with, and this was happening on Tice's feed, on Anderson's feed, and on Farage's. The debate's pretty strong. Basically, they were saying, like, you're all sellouts. We think you should support Tommy Robinson, and the fact that you don't makes us suspicious of you.
Okay.
Yeah. And trotting out all the sort of same tropes. Tommy Robinson is a political prisoner. Tommy Robinson saved these girls from gangs. Tommy Robinson did this, none of which is true, obviously. But yeah, it's again, choppy waters in the different sort of factions, basically. Then someone else decides that they're going to sort of like stick their head above the parapet and attempt to, shall we say, enter British politics. This was something that nobody saw coming. Andrew Tate announces that he's going to run for UK Prime Minister.
Okay, that's just a troll. Come on.
Of course he's a troll. I mean, like, but he's treating it very seriously. And
what's his party? What's his party called? Has he got a party?
Yes, it's called BRUV. The Britain Restoring Underlying Values Party.
Oh.
He says, yes, his slogan was, yes, bruv. The Britain Restoring Underlying Values Party will restore the once great Britain, except he misspells Britain as Britain without the I. Yeah. Now, this was shortly after Murdered by Crayons, who's a very, very interesting person to follow on Twitter, got into an online debate with Andrew Tate, where Andrew Tate decided it was best to come out the gate swinging and call Murdered by Crayons a paedophile, to which Murdered by Crayons produced the court documents that showed that currently Andrew Tate is under house arrest in Romania for forcing a 15-year-old girl to have anal sex. That is the key charge that dictates his house arrest. Yes, he's also been charged with trafficking and pimping and money laundering, and also he's under investigation for rape and tax evasion in the UK. So if he ever did come back to the UK, he wouldn't be allowed to even become an MP. He'd be arrested. So yeah. Also, and I don't care about this, obviously, but he's a Muslim. But guess who came out in support of Muslim who traffics women? Elon Musk.
I was going to say Tommy Robinson.
No, they are friends. They grew up together in Luton. They're friends. He has supported him. And Tommy Robinson has not spoken out against Andrew Tate at all, as far as I'm aware. And Candice Owens as well. Candice Owens, her husband, former Bullingdon club member George Farmer, is apparently good friends with Andrew Tate for some reason, and she's having a crusade against porn at the moment on Twitter because porn's bad. But she doesn't seem to see the problem with Andrew Tate having a webcam service. So this is the point. These people just, it's a nest of vipers, and they don't really give a shit. But Elon Musk came out in support of Andrew Tate's bid for Prime Minister.
Why are these idiots trolling the world?
Well, this is the thing, but it's very difficult to know how much of it is serious, how much of it is a troll, and how much of it is just down to pure ignorance. Also on the 6th, Musk starts posting about how you can get sent to prison for posting memes in the UK.
Oh, he's back on that one.
Yeah, so that's connected with the Southport riots, basically, and this idea that Two-Tier Keir sent a load of people to prison for simply posting memes or saying hurty words online. And none of that's true. They were either inciting people to violence or explicitly encouraging other people to commit violent acts, or that was part of what they did, and they also committed violent acts or rioted or tried to set fire to people.
Again, foreshadowed in the previous episode. I thought the instant he started bringing up the grooming gangs that he would be onto the Southport riot sort of rhetoric again.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would assume that basically, well, we know where he got it. He got it from Peter Sweden and Ian Miles Chong and like people like that. So anyway, on January the 7th, the sex abuse inquiry chair, Alexis J, who was essentially the author of the J report, which was the report that came out in 2022, the one that has got 20 recommendations.
Okay.
She comes out and basically completely rebukes Elon Musk, A, talking about additional investigations, and B, just sticking his oar in where essentially it isn't wanted. Now, interestingly, all the other right-wing satellites have started to get the message. And Tim Pool, he of the bald head and smelly-looking beanie, appears on Piers Morgan's show to defend Tommy Robinson. And this is one of the problems that we have. Is like, Piers Morgan, you irresponsible dick. You shouldn't have these people be giving them a platform. Like, but he doesn't care because he's as much of a dreadful person as they are. Like, you know, it's like he just amplifies and normalizes these absolute shits, and there really is a problem. And we were talking about this before, weren't we? Saying like it's a problem to do with like legacy media dying and whatnot, and the desperate like hunt for clicks and likes and you know making a living essentially, but resorting to shittier and shittier tactics. But yeah, but anyway, the funny thing when Tim Pool appeared on Piers Morgan's show, to defend Tommy Robinson, was that it became very clear very early on that Tim Pool has absolutely no idea who Tommy Robinson is or what he does. and so Piers Morgan explained to him, he says he's not a journalist. He's a convicted football hooligan who beat up a policeman and got convicted of that. He was convicted of passport fraud, trying to get into America, convicted of mortgage fraud, convicted of 2 contempts of court where he nearly wrecked trials involving the rape gang suspects when they were on trial, nearly literally avoiding justice for the girls in those cases. But now he's in prison, nothing to do with the rape gang scandal, but entirely to do with his defamatory conduct towards a 15-year-old Syrian boy who he first of all defamed, trying to make him the villain of a video where he'd been bullied. And this ended up with the Syrian refugee boy suing him, winning £100,000 in damages, nearly £1 million in costs. And the judge told Robinson, do not repeat these lies. And then he repeats all the lies in a movie that he produces as a so-called journalist. And he goes to prison for contempt of court, which he knows he's committing. So on every level, you can agree with his message about the rape gang scandal, where he's been right, like a lot of people. But you can also think he's about the most despicable messenger imaginable. And now I'd actually disagree because he's not been right about the rape gang scandal. And that's just Piers Morgan slimily trying to sort of wink to an audience saying, no, don't abandon me. I'll say the things that you like, and therefore you can tell me that I'm popular. And it's that's shitty. But it is good that he points that out about Tommy Robinson. He just ruins it right at the end. However, despite Piers laying this out, Tim Pool just responds, we don't believe you.
Well, that about sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, where the fucking hell do you even go with that? We don't believe you.
That is it. That's it. That is it.
Yeah.
They just get to decide, we don't believe you.
You know what's really strange? What they're doing is 2 + 2 is 5.
Yes.
The greatest victory of the party was getting the citizens to ignore their eyes and ears. Yeah, that it's bizarre, but that is what is happening. And the irony. Oh, isn't it?
Incredible.
So anyway, we're not done with the 7th yet. Also on the 7th, Donald Trump Jr. and Charlie Kirk visit Greenland because obviously they've said that they want it. Like, and this has got nothing to do
Did
with.
They bring flags to plant in the ground.
They brought a couple, yes, and they also bought some MAGA hats, and they said that all the Greenlanders that they've met wanted to be owned by America. And it's nothing to do with the fact that it's quite mineral rich. And if you even suggested that that was anything to do with electric car companies, and if you even went so far as to say, like, the ludicrous notion that this might be something to do with Elon Musk, you'd all be completely wrong, because that'd be just absolute pure blind speculation. Anyway, so there's this picture in this pub of Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump Jr., and they look dreadful. And they're surrounded by some apparently just average Greenland people, and they're all wearing MAGA hats. And there's something not quite right about the picture. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it looked staged, because it's obviously staged, but there was something about it that just didn't sit right with me. And it later came out that the Greenland press release revealed that all of the people there were homeless people that had been offered a free lunch if they put on a MAGA hat and posed, and only about 7 turned up. But anyway, that evening, Donald Trump Sr. refuses to rule out using the military to forcefully annex Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal. Somebody asked him, he says, well, look, they don't seem that keen on selling it to you. Would you tell us right now that you won't use military action? And Donald Trump said, I'm not going to commit to that.
Oh my God. What is going on?
It might be that we'll have to do something. The Panama Canal is vital to our country, and we need Greenland for national security purposes. So he said that basically, yeah, we might have to use the military, if they don't see sense, And again, you'd think that would be something that that Alex would be totally opposed to, using military force to annex different parts of the country, sovereign parts of the country, like at least 2 other countries. But no, he's well behind it. He just thinks that Trump's just ace, and that, he's a maverick. And sometimes you've got to try these things.
I think Alex would support world domination, would support a new world order if it was spelt USA.
Oh, of course he would. Like, all of his sort of his fantasies, especially as he's developed, have become more violent and more sort of authoritarian and more. He describes police states. We're going to have people go around and do this and blah, 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 and round up these liberals and put them in camps and stuff like that. It's like, he's basically describing like
you made documentaries about this,
about how this was a bad thing, yeah. But now it's sort of but these are different people. Like it's fine, and he's totally gone back on his principles. He must be wrestling all over the place with it as well. Like at the minute, and it's bizarre because Alex appears to have stopped drinking. He claims to have stopped drinking, and he hasn't appeared really, really pissed recently. He's also lost a shit ton of weight, which he claims is down to not drinking and doing exercise with Joe Rogan's buddy. But I noticed he put out a tweet over the thing, and I just happened to put, Alex, you appear to be skipping leg day. And he deleted the photo. And I just think it's weird that if he's working out like that, he's losing weight, but he's not getting any muscles on his legs. It's, who knows? Who can say?
No, I did see a picture of him, and I thought he looked a little bit like Anton LaVey.
Yeah, he does a little bit, yeah. Anyway, so we're now on to the 8th of January. And Errol Musk, the insane father of Elon Musk, appears on GMB, Good Morning Britain, which is a breakfast news sort of like program, a bit like The View or something like that. And he compares Tommy Robinson to, in fact, let's see if you can guess. Which historical figure do you think
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela!
No!
It is Nelson.
No, I was taking the piss. He doesn't.
I mean, some have described that as unwise and inaccurate, to say the least.
I'm done.
In fact, he was actually slapped down by the host, Susanna Reid. She did say, Brent has just left the room. Brent cannot cope with it anymore. He's just gone.
Oh my God.
I thought that it was vital that we document this because, maybe people can pore over what's happened and figure out where the fuck we went wrong. But who knows?
Yeah, well, you did say it was going to get crazy this
Yeah,
show.
it's not finished yet. So, also that day, so this is the 8th of January, speaking about people who are clueless about other people, Jordan Peterson appears on Piers Morgan.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, he's there to defend Tommy Robinson and demand that he's released because he thinks that he's very much like a Julian Assange figure and that he's in prison in solitary confinement for journalism. And it's actually quite entertaining to watch Jordan Peterson realise that he's made an absolute twat of himself and just look progressively more crestfallen as the blood drains from his face as Piers Morgan relates the same thing that he related to Tim Pool, but at least Jordan Peterson has the good grace to say, I did not realise that, as opposed to, we don't believe you. Which also, thinking back, suggests that Tim Pool's got some sort of Gollum-type split personality going on.
We don't believe you.
So, yeah. But anyway, on the same day, Elon Musk tweets out a meme, and it's that Star Wars one with Anakin and what's her face? I can't remember her name. I don't care.
Padme,
that's it. You know, the one with the 4 things where it's you want to do this, but it would do this and this.
Yes,
and it's Keir Starmer saying, I don't want a rape gang inquiry. And then Padme says, but it would clear your name. And then Keir Starmer doesn't say anything. And then Padme says, it would clear your name, right? And it's like, he also again starts posting that, when he posted that meme, he said, you can genuinely go to jail in the UK for posting this meme, which is obviously not true. Like, and just to give you an idea, like that, like people were like, it's just harmless or whatever. Like, okay, people started retweeting that and started believing it. Like when I took that screen grab a few days ago, that particular thing had 53.9 million views. Now, obviously, some of that's bots and Elon inflating shit because he's a mentalist. But yeah. And again, I'll reiterate that in reality, in the J report, Keir Starmer was praised for his actions, and due to his changes in the law, far more prosecutions took place. Then something else happened. On January the 8th, some gamers had been watching Elon Musk. Now, we know Elon Musk is like, he's as with everything that he does, other than, have relationships with his family and children or friends. He's brilliant. So with gaming,
everything he does, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything he does. Gaming, he's brilliant. He's top tier. He's top 20 Diablo 4. He's
Diablo, that's right.
Like he does this.
Yeah, he's like amazing at it. He posts videos of himself being amazing at it.
Paths of Exile and stuff like that. Anyway, some gamers have been watching him play, and they basically spotted that he cheated. What has happened is that he's done what's called boosting, which is the gaming equivalent of taking steroids. He's paid somebody, or somebody has taken his character and ground it out for hours and hours and hours in order to get experience points and to collect all these collectibles and to totally power up his character. Because in these particular games, that is what you do. And that is apparently the cardinal sin of gaming. It is cheating. It is absolutely cheating. And some gamers who are basically really familiar with this, with the gaming mechanics, basically said, they were looking at it and they were saying, he's missing these vital things. He doesn't know how to open this menu. He's gone into the wrong room. He's fucking up with this. And people have started going back and looking at old videos, and they've started to notice this with all these old videos. So what it appears is that the richest man on the planet has been lying and cheating at computer games in order to impress other gamers and to seem like he's better at this particular skill than he is, which is the saddest thing that I think I've ever heard. No, sorry. It's the second saddest thing, because not only did he respond and say that, no, that's not true, he got Grimes, the mother of his children, to tweet out saying, I've watched him play Diablo, and he's brilliant at it.
I thought he was going to say he got his mum to tweet it out.
He might as fucking well as. Like he honestly might as well have. Like, oh dear. Also, and we've not touched on this, but it basically came out that Adrian Dittman almost certainly isn't Elon Musk. He's just some lunatic that pretends to be Elon Musk. And I don't know which is sadder. Like, the idea that
we kind of came to that conclusion
straight away, pretty much, yeah. But I forget which publication it was, did some really sort of deep investigation and got a photograph of this guy. And I was like, this is not Elon Musk. Yeah. So, yeah. Also, and I don't think I told you this before, Errol Musk went on some television program somewhere and started explaining how Elon Musk's mother's family from Canada were hardcore Nazis, absolute total fans of Hitler, and that even made him uncomfortable. And he's, he's a, shall we say, a traditionalist of South Africa. So, yeah. So, yeah, apparently Elon Musk's mum was a bit of a Nazi. So it was a bit awkward when Elon Musk started tweeting out stuff about how his old great granny, who lived in London during the Blitz, now couldn't go through London without being attacked by rape gangs. Totally misunderstanding the concept of the entire thing. But also, it's like, that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. And how on earth did your poor, apparently she was in the Blitz. It turned out she wasn't. She was incredibly wealthy. How she felt about, Elon's mother being apparently a Nazi, Elon has yet to comment on. But also on the 8th, in an interview, Elon admitted that his goal, him and Vivek Ramaswamy, who, by the way, is until a couple of days ago, just completely avoided being on the internet because he was getting so much shit. He's like, they set up the Department of Government Efficiency to save $2 trillion of government money.
Right.
And you know how basically everybody said that that's not possible?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Musk has finally admitted that it's not really possible. And that the 2 trillion figure was a best case outcome. But he did think that they had a reasonably good shot at cutting maybe half of that. So, yeah. On the 9th of January, Russell Brand tweets in support of Andrew Tate, saying, before you dismiss Cobra Tate for some of the wild things he said on the internet, which I myself have also done, you better understand that independent media is changing the world quicker than the old institutions of power can fathom. And it's like, the fuck is wrong with these people? Also, the in brackets, some of the wild things he said on the internet, which I myself have done. He talks about beating and raping women. Is that a Freudian slip on behalf of Russell Brand there? Is that his subconscious desperately trying to confess? Or am I reading that wrong? And, either's entirely possible.
But when you say came out in support, like, what do you mean? Like, in support of him running for prime minister?
Well, basically, he just jumped on the thing and just saying that actually, Andrew Tate's a nice guy. I like him. I think we should all basically listen to what he's got to say, and insinuating very strongly that all of the charges against him were trumped up. Maybe because he's telling so much truth. Who could say?
So just in general support of him, not like in support of him politically.
And it was clearly because even within his fans, Russell was getting flack for that. Because, there's only so many alleged rapists that you can follow on Twitter without starting to look sus. And so, yeah, like that's what happened. He came out in support. But it looked to anyone who was sensible as like, oh, my God, Russell's really at the bottom of the barrel, isn't he? Is this really what he's going to do? Like, yeah, it's ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. But also, on the evening of the 9th, Elon Musk decides to host one of those spaces on Twitter where you can interview people. And he felt that the best person that in the new year that he could platform to millions of people was Alice Waddell of the AFD. Yeah, That's it. Brent just rolled his eyes so hard that he nearly went back over in his chair. But in it, they mentioned that she was the leading candidate in the upcoming German elections, which was a lie. They claimed that Germany opened its borders in 2015, which was a lie. They said that Germany took in 7 million immigrants since 2015, which is actually true. But the majority of those are either legal working migrants or asylum seekers. And then for some reason, Musk told everybody that theft of property under $1,000 is legal in the state of California.
Shortly not.
No, it wouldn't be, because then that would be absolute chaos, wouldn't it, really? Like, because you could steal anything and everything, like, so long as it didn't cost $1,000. Like, but the fact that incredible batshit was allowed to go out and was amplified by, again, the richest person on the planet. And you know what? That wasn't even the stupidest fucking thing that they said. They had a long conversation about how Hitler was actually a communist.
That old one.
Yeah, despite, the noticeable anti-communism of the Nazi policies, who, eventually tried to invade the Soviet Union, rounded up trade unionists.
They're not good at history.
They're not. Like, this is what would, as if to prove that point, Alice Waddell said of Hitler, he wasn't a conservative. He wasn't a libertarian. He was this communist socialist guy. And she also described him as an anti-Semitic socialist. And it's like, anybody that knows anything about the Nazi concept of communism was that communism was created by international Jewry, right? That's why they hated it after initially supporting it, because, like, before Operation Barbarossa, I believe it was called. Like, this is nonsense, anti-historical bullshit. And it all boils down to the fact that the NSADP were called the National Workers' Party because they were trying to appeal to workers. None of their policies were things. They didn't nationalize anything. In fact, they were, what's the word I'm looking for? That's it. The fucking model of fascism, right? Because they invited corporations like IG Farben and TS and Krupp and TS and Steel and various IBM and other companies to make huge amounts of money with the state. There's no nationalization. They were well into privatization. Like, this is just, it's utter fucking bullshit. But the fact that that it's even allowed to go, it's just nuts, man. It's absolutely fucking nuts. But again, it got even weirder because basically she's also claimed in a recent AFD, in a recent interview, that the AFD were the opposite to Hitler, right? But the reason that they were the opposite to Hitler was because Hitler was a left-wing communist. Right, so let's just unpack that, right? Okay. If you're the opposite to Hitler, but Hitler's a left-wing communist, then you're a right-wing fascist, which is actually what Hitler was, because he's not opposite to Hitler either. Like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely just stupid. Although there was an incredibly awkward bit in it where Elon forced Alice Waddell to say that she supported the state of Israel. And she danced around that like a fucking girl around a maypole before she was absolutely backed into a corner and said, yes, we support the state of Israel. Why Elon Musk felt the need to do that is, anybody's fucking clue, to be quite honest. Very strange. Also on the same day, Alina Haber, Trump's lawyer, who's absolutely shocking at being a lawyer, but basically is a bit gobby. She appeared on The Benny Show, which is some sort of internet show with Andrew Tate, and claimed that she was a huge fan. Which, for somebody so close to the President of the United States, some have suggested this might be somewhat injudicious. But this is what they did. So, but speaking of, people who are huge fans and people who are certainly not huge fans, On the 10th of January, 12 MPs decided that they wanted to leave Reform. And the 12 members said that they cannot support Nigel Farage in good conscience anymore. We believe that the current party management is either incompetent or malevolent, and we have lost all confidence in the leadership and its structures. The 12 members have called for Deputy Leader Ben Habib to be named as the party's new chief, as he truly represents the vision and values that draw us to reform. So, bad day for Nigel Farage, really.
Wow. What is this? Is this in protest to the Tommy Robinson stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, to be fair, because of the structure of the party, this is practically meaningless. They were all basically from the same area in Derbyshire, and they're sort of minor. But what it does show is that the boat is not a steady boat.
Also, do you mean councillors? Or
he said MPs.
They don't have that many MPs.
He said MPs. So I don't know. I'm not spending fucking time looking into reform any more than I absolutely have.
I'm going to guess that it must be wrong because I'm sure they've only got 4 MPs. And
yeah, potentially.
They do have some councillors.
I think there's 5 actually, yeah. But yeah.
I'm liking some of this news. I'm not liking some of it.
Well, no, obviously.
Some of it's good.
It wasn't the worst day for Nigel Farage, though, because it was revealed that basically they're getting their posts boosted on Twitter and they're all monetized. So in total, basically, since July, the 3 MPs between them have taken in over £11,000 from monetization of Twitter posts. They've got explicitly £11,845.17. Farage earning £5,482.04. Lee Anderson earning £1,720.13, and Rupert Lowe earning £4,642.99. So
wow,
yeah, it's
it's just interesting because he's not the gobby one. You know, Lee is the gobby one.
Yeah, totally.
So and Lee only made £1,000. And Rupert's made like as much as the other.
But Lee is, and I'm going to choose my words here very carefully, like absolutely incompetent. Like he's just he's a prat, and possibly a very dubious moral character, and maybe not the most honest person on the planet, according to some people.
Yeah, but he gets in quite a lot of Twitter fights, so I just thought that
yeah, you're right.
Getting more money than someone.
No,
like
that's very true. But I think that possibly speaks to the sort of like the creeping malevolence of Rupert Lowe and Nigel Farage. They evidently are getting about 4 or 5 times as much as him. So
yeah, very, very, very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, whether that's real or whether it's bots, because there has been a suggestion that Elon Musk is using bots to promote things that he likes, which would obviously then boost them in the algorithm, and then that would boost them. And then that would let more people see them, which would share them, and that would boost them. And they'd be encouraged to post the sorts of things that Elon like because they get paid. And they'd also be sort of like, I mean, it's almost like we've shown here. You might have your blue check taken away if you criticize him about H-1B visas, or you might have your channel completely throttled because you put out like a 30-minute thing calling Elon Musk a cunt in all sorts of different ways. Like,
well, I don't know if some of our listeners might not know, like at one point, Twitter gave us $300 in advertising money. So we posted a few things like that were, critical of Elon, and we spent all of that advertising money on it. Yeah, but what I did notice was, I'm pretty sure the analytics were showing pretty much that it was shown to accounts that weren't actually active.
Yeah.
So it was shown to bots. It wasn't even shown to active accounts. So
yeah, there was 2 phases of it, wasn't there? The first one was when we used the advertising for like some stuff that was relatively benign as far as Elon might think. And it got huge numbers, but we got no follow-on with that. We got no engagement, no listens or anything, just like millions and millions of apparently people have looked at it on tweets. So they're obviously not real. But then when we did the same thing, but with the piece critical of Elon, we didn't even get the bots. Like, did we? We just got completely throttled, and which is strange to say the least. Also on the 10th of January, Mel Gibson goes on the Joe Rogan show and tells him that he doesn't believe in evolution, that the Shroud of Turin is definitely real and proof that Jesus existed, and that stage 4 cancer can be cured with ivermectin and fenbendazole. Also, there's a sequel coming out to The Passion of Christ in which Jesus will go to hell, which, you can't use that as a title. That was one of the Friday the 13th sequels. But yeah, they also go on about how climate change isn't real, which is slightly ironic because during the interview, his house in Malibu burns to the ground.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I mean, what happened was there was horrible fires in California, and they were basically spurred on by incredibly strong winds up to 100 miles per hour. That meant that no matter how much water they got there, the embers were being carried so fast that there was just no physical way to stop it. And it was they've had an incredibly dry season, so the brush was very, very dry apparently, and it was just the perfect melting pot for these conditions apparently. There is a theory going around in the right wing that this was down to mismanagement and that all the fire hydrants were empty and that this is all Gavin Newsom's fault.
I thought you were going to say lasers then, but hey.
Well, people have said that there are gangs of homeless people going around starting fires and stuff like that. And to which some people have pointed out, yeah, because they live on the fucking streets and it's cold, you silly cunts. They're not setting fire to the fire. Never mind. But hey ho. But yeah, but the major irresponsible thing was that they decided that ivermectin, which is the parasite medicine, treats stage 4 cancer, which it absolutely does not. But apparently Mel Gibson knows 4 people that used it to miraculously cure themselves recently. Oh, and he's also vaccine damaged. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It sounds like he probably caught COVID, but according to him, he's vaccine damaged. Anyway,
I'm surprised he even took it.
He does explain why he felt he was forced into taking it. I can't remember, but he just comes across as fucking unhinged. The whole thing. Oh, it's nonsense. It's just bullshit. But he comes across as absolutely fucking unhinged throughout the whole interview. But Joe Rogan, there's no pushback at all. Joe Rogan's like, why are they suppressing these cheap cancer cures, man? Like ivermectin and fenbendazole, whatever it's called. And it's they're not. Just so if anybody knows, what they've done is that they've shown that these things can attack cancer cells in a Petri disk or a test tube, right? But you know what else can attack cancer in a Petri disk? Fire or petrol, or you could shoot it or hit it with a cricket bat, right? Okay. But that doesn't translate to the human body. So
I don't know, if you hit someone with the cricket bat and set them alight, you could kill their cancer.
you could. That was the old thing, wasn't it? That they used to protect was the old conspiracy theory that they juked the stats by saying, "Oh, the surgery was successful. The patient died, but the surgery was successful," which of course is also not true. But let's not get bogged down. But yeah, total unhinged shit from Mel Gibson. No pushback from Joe Rogan. Standard New Year fare, basically. Yeah. But also on that particular day, Nigel Farage, who at this point is pretty desperate to court attention, but he's claiming that he's absolutely fine with everyone saying that he's useless and all these people leaving, and he doesn't fear Rupert Lowe's ambitions at all. And he's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He doesn't even think about Elon Musk. He doesn't even think about Elon Musk or trying to impress Trump. He's fine. He's fine. Okay, he's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's absolutely fine, and he's in no way doing anything that would make you go, that's unusual behaviour for Nigel Farage. Although, when pressed, he did say that he was open to having the suggestion that Shamima Begum should return to the UK. Now,
What?
now, for people that don't know, Shamima Begum was a girl. She was a very young girl. I think she was 14 or 15, and she ran away to be with ISIS. And there's a lot of debates about basically whether she's now realized that that was a silly mistake that she made as a child, whether she was groomed into that or coerced or what, and what we should do with her, whether we should treat her as like a sort of terrorist combatant, or we should treat her as a person who was put in a very difficult situation as a child. And one of the fundamental things is, should she be allowed to come back to the UK? And Nigel Farage and people of their ilk are firmly of the opinion that no, she should never be allowed to return to the UK. She's a terrorist and a threat to the country. So for Nigel Farage to suddenly go that he would be open to the possibility of Shamima Begum returning to the UK is insane. That is a turnaround of his positions, as insane as Alex Jones suggesting that the North American Union is a good idea. Like that is a total about face, and something that basically would be seen as a total betrayal of the values that he supposedly holds and his supporters supposedly hold. And he realized this and started immediately doing damage control and trying to walk back his statement. But it's on film. So why on earth did he say this?
I don't know, but I am genuinely shocked. I am,
isn't it?
Genuinely just
stunned,
sat here in shock that he would say that.
Isn't it? And don't get us wrong, right? Okay, we're not opposed to Shamima Begum coming back to the UK. I presume with the opinion that she was essentially groomed as a child.
I was going to say the exact same words.
Groomed by an explicitly Islamic gang.
Exactly.
Ironic, isn't it? Like, you know, that people don't have any sympathy for her. So anyway, the Claxon MP's comments came after Donald Trump's incoming counter-terrorism chief called for the repatriation of British members of the so-called Islamic State being held in Syrian prison camps. Earlier this week, Sebastian Gorka said that any nation that wishes to be seen as a serious ally of the US should commit to the international fight against extremist groups by taking back citizens currently in the northeast of Syria. Speaking to ITV News at Reform South England conference, Mr. Farage says, "It's very difficult for us to think that we should take back people, Shamima Begum and others, and instinctively it's not something that I would want to do." But when asked whether he thought that the UK should consider a move, he said, "I've never wanted to. I've instinctively never wanted to. But I'm now thoughtful. I'm thoughtful. I don't classify her as an ISIS, as an all-out ISIS killer." Which is incredible, isn't it? Like, the fucking hoops that these people are jumping through to impress one another.
I'm still in shock. I really am still in shock.
It's crazy. And he's doing that again. He's abandoning his principles because he thinks that basically if he does, that will curry favour with the Trump administration. It's all about what these people can get. They don't give a shit.
But surely someone like Trump wouldn't even support, like, Shamima Begum's return.
I've got no idea. I didn't actually look into it, but basically I think it's something to do with Syria, right? If I was desperately, like, cynical, you could only speculate about potential relationships with Russia and Russia's involvement in that area, and whether this is something to do with that. I don't know. I honestly don't know. To be honest, I was as much like you, as blindsided by the fact that you said it, that it never even really struck me to go, hang on, why is Sebastian Gorka saying that? Like, I was like, Shamima Begum? But you've previously said, but the what? Fucking hell.
Yeah, that was my internal monologue the whole time while you were speaking.
It's crackers. It just makes no sense at all, does it? It's just absolutely fucking just nuts. Just, yeah. Also on the 10th of January, Donald Trump, the 45th and about to be the 47th President of the United States of America, is sentenced for 34 felonies in New York connected to him paying hush money out of campaign funds to a porn star that he had an affair with behind the back of his then pregnant wife.
Oh, so hold on. So I remember like the court saying that they weren't sure if they were going to continue this case.
Well, this is the point. So what they did was they gave him an unconditional discharge, which means that he will not be fined, nor will he serve any time. And this is due to the fact that it would not be practicable for a serving president to be in prison. And also because he's now president, it's just a legal minefield where, like, what you're going to do, you're going to find the president, who pays it, because he's an individual and he's also a thing. And it's just one of those things where they were like, you know what, we'll say he's guilty because he's clearly guilty. So he's got 34 felonies on his record now. But we're not going to actually give him any punishment per se. However, there is an interesting possibility, because as a felon, there are certain countries that he might not be allowed to enter.
Like America.
Well, yeah, yeah, for one. Like, and when people have asked about this, like, there's been a few lawyers who've spoken about this, and there's like, well, shit, what do you think's going to happen? And everyone's gone, don't really know. I don't know. We're in completely uncharted territory. It's never really been the sort of thing where a president has been a sort of convicted felon.
That's why he wants to take over Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Because he wouldn't be allowed in.
Oh, right. Yeah, potentially. That's an interesting point. Taking over all the different countries of the world to avoid embarrassment at passport control. Like, yeah. I mean, it's yes. That's yeah, potentially. But yeah, so the incoming president is a convicted felon, and according to the courts, not according to me, well, yes, according to me, but these are not my words, these are the words of the courts, also a convicted rapist. So, you know, so, yeah. Anywho. So, on the 12th of January, in an interview with Corriere della Sera newspaper, which is an Italian newspaper, Steve Bannon calls Elon Musk racist and truly evil. Steve Bannon...
Well, he would know.
Well, exactly. Steve Bannon, noted and proud racist that has said in the past, be proud to be called a racist, said of Elon Musk, he's a truly evil guy, a very bad guy. I made it a personal thing to take this guy down. Bannon said, before, because he put money in, I was prepared to tolerate it. I'm not prepared to tolerate it anymore. I will have Elon Musk run out of here by Inauguration Day, which falls on the 20th of January. He will not have full access to the White House. He will be like any other person. The thing of the H-1B visas is about the entire immigration system. It's about how the entire immigration system is gamed by the tech overlords. They use it to their advantage, and the people are furious. So, Steve Bannon swinging out there. Like, I mean, I don't think he's actually got as much power or any power really in the Trump circle, but he's certainly, again, it shows the discontent within that particular broader sphere. And like, you know, if we think about just before the election, how everybody, except for, to be fair, Nick Fuentes was on Trump's side and saying this is going to be amazing, this is going to be great, blah, blah, blah. And very, very quickly, cracks have started to show. And don't get me wrong, I'm under no illusion, as we've seen in these couple of like things that we've done. Like, they will change their opinion at the drop of a hat, and they'll all pretend that none of this happened and that none of them were.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, it's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be embarrassing and just despicable, basically. So, a Twitter account called Cillian posts a video reportedly from a Welsh school, and in it says, in Wales, the Welsh refugee, or as these tweets says, in Wales, the Welsh Refugee Council is using 12-year-old girls in ads meant to entice migrant men to come to Wales. Mostly members of this council are from the Middle East, India, and Pakistan. I think I'm going to throw up. And he shows this video, and it basically shows schoolgirls saying, we want Indian men to come to Wales. We want Pakistani men to come to Wales. We want foreign men to come to Wales. And it implies very heavily that these girls are winking at the possibility of sex. And these are schoolgirls. These are like 11-year-old schoolgirls. Okay. And Elon Musk retweets this and draws huge amounts of attention to this video. And it transpires that this video has been heavily, heavily edited. This video is from several years ago. And it was one of those things where, can you remember when Ukrainian refugees were coming to England because of the start of the war or the invasion by Russia? And there was loads of videos put out by school children saying, "We're welcoming refugees. We welcome you. Please don't be scared. Come here and we'll treat you nicely. It must be horrible for you." Right? That was the video. And someone had edited out all the boys, dubbed over some sound, done some nefarious shit, and repurposed it to make it look like these girls, that this Welsh school and these schoolgirls were advertising themselves in a potentially sexual manner to get Indian and Pakistani Muslim men to come over to Wales. And this was retweeted by Elon Musk. Now, the members of the Welsh Refugee Council said that staff and volunteers had been harassed and that several had received death threats. Like, this is the point. Elon Musk is getting dangerous, like legitimately dangerous. Now, apparently, the guy that he then tweeted out the next day that he's been told that if he ever steps foot in England or Wales, he'll be immediately arrested. And he's slightly concerned because he's got family in the UK, apparently. But, yeah, because he's essentially spread malicious materials that could desperately, desperately cause harm. So, on the 13th of January, Rupert Lowe, the Reform MP who Elon Musk has endorsed for the leader of the party, went on talk radio and suggested that the NHS should be scrapped in favour of a USA-style insurance-based system. It's like, for Christ's sake, where have we heard this before? Like, it's just so transparent. It's all this Tufton Street, like, in it for themselves. This is what Brexit was originally about. It's so very, very tiresome at this point now. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's ridiculous. But if you think that reform are for the people, how on earth would an insurance-based system benefit the people? It wouldn't. I mean, are we saying that the NHS is perfect? No. It needs huge overhauls, and it's been driven into the ground. It's almost as if someone's driven it into the ground on purpose so that people basically go, well, I mean, maybe the insurance system is better than this. It's certainly better than this,
Anything was going to be better than this.
Precisely, exactly. Like, and then people come up with really stupid shit, like basically, it costs me £1,500 a year for my insurance. If that's what we all paid into the NHS, blah, 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 blah. It's like, it only costs you that because you don't have the fucking operation. The second that you have an operation or a condition, your premium will go through the roof. Like operations cost tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. Care costs enormous amounts of money. And people always go like, yeah, but private hospitals, they're so much cleaner, they're so much nicer, it's so much more efficient. You know why it's so much fucking more efficient? Because there's so fewer people going there. The second that it becomes a commodity as opposed to a luxury, then it will be overrun and face exactly the same problems that the current system faces. It's just you'll be paying for it. And a lot of you will come to realize this is going to happen into America shortly as well. Pre-existing conditions. This is a nuts thing that I found out, right? Okay. You go to Bupa and you say, like, just because you think it's a good idea to have, any private health thing. Go to any private health thing because it's a good idea to have private health. Yeah, sure. Sign us up. You get to a certain age, something goes wrong, and you think, I want to look out for that in the future. I might go and get private health coverage. You can't because you've got a pre-existing condition, right? I could have got private healthcare before my back went bad, right? And they would have to pay for it. It would increasingly cost more to the point where basically, it would be, I'd probably have to go back to the NHS anyway, right? But now, if I turn up and go, I really need this expert private healthcare, this, focused attention, I need that because I've got a problem. They'll say, tough. you've got a problem. We ain't risking having to do things to you. Yeah. That's why that Luigi bloke shot that fucking guy. Right? It's a crooked system. But apparently Reform think that that's the best for the UK. Anyway, bit of good news. On the same day, Elon Musk got made to look a right twat. He basically turned up at an LA fire department live streaming, trying to berate one of the command team by basically saying that Democrat policies had left the area without sufficient water. And on live stream, he was told that this was absolutely not true, that it was all down to the wind, that the fire department and the government had done everything that they could, and that rumours about the budget being cut were completely false. The budget had actually been increased. It's just that the embers were moving faster than anyone could mobilise a tanker. And at that point, Elon Musk cut the stream because the man's just a calamitous embarrassment, essentially.
Standard.
Yeah. And then, just to wrap up, on the 14th of January, Jack Smith releases his special counsel report, which says that evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction, and that had Trump not won re-election in 2024, he would likely be in prison. The department's view that the Constitution prohibits the continued indictment and prosecution of a president is categorical and does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, which the office stands fully behind. Indeed, but for Mr. Trump's election and imminent return to the presidency, the office assessed that the admissible evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction at trial. So the prosecution is saying that the coming president, the case that they had against him, which they would have leveraged against him, had he not become president, they would have succeeded at. And let us remind us what that particular case was for. That was for trying to overthrow the American government.
And now he's won it.
Exactly. May you live in interesting times. And just to skip ahead, a couple of days ago, he launched a meme coin, which is notorious for basically, it's essentially a Ponzi scheme where everyone puts in. He's got a wallet of 80%, which means that only the people close to him are going to be making like significant amount of money, and a huge amount of people are going to lose money. It's the most sleaziest of sleazy cons a couple of days before his inauguration, and it's going to make him probably a few $100 million. Like, we are living in a reality where the USA has become a tin pot dictatorship, essentially. But yeah. So, I told you it was fucked.
Yeah, you did, man. Wow.
It was just fucking, it was so crazy. Honestly, just fucking absolutely crazy. Like,